Welcome to my video on creating your own custom UI. The goal of this video is to help you display all the required data in a clean, attractive format. So we'll first go over the recommended add-ons, what to track, and how to display the data. The recommended add-ons to have are LVUI, weak auras, TellMeWhen, and a global cooldown bar. If you don't have any of these add-ons already, links for each of them are available in the description down below. At a minimum, we want our UI to track ability cooldowns, debuff timers, buff timers, and our resources. Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to track is ability cooldowns and stacks. These can be divided into two major categories within TellMeWhen, and that is spell cooldown and reactive abilities. Spell cooldown simply just tracks a timer telling you when an ability is available, whereas a reactive ability tells you when you have the resources available to do an ability. And these are things like Infernal, Summon Imp, Chaos Bolt, anything that requires a resource to use. The next thing you want your UI to be able to do is track debuffs, whether these are target debuffs, area debuffs, or personal debuffs. So within TellMeWhen, target debuffs are when you're focused on an enemy, whether it's Immolate or Havoc or whatever debuff you've placed on that target like Eradication, it will tell you whether or not it's on the target and the duration. Area debuffs are for enemies that are not your direct target. So for instance, in Odin, you would Havoc Heimdall and focus Herja, or vice versa. So an area debuff tracker would be able to track the Havoc duration on the second target without them being your primary focus. The last type of debuff we'll want our UI to track are personal debuffs. I keep mine in the upper right hand corner of the screen. Right now I have Lord of the Flames. It's key to have these prominently displayed as a Destruction Warlock, so while you're doing dungeons, you can look up there really quick, and during your opener, you know exactly whether or not you're supposed to summon your Infernal or your Doomguard. The next thing you'll want your UI to track are buffs. These can be displayed as bars or icons within TellMeWhen. My Mark of the Claw, which will show up here in a few seconds, I have as an icon, whereas my Empowered Life Tap and Soul Harvest I have set up as bars. And to be honest, you could do all one or the other. It really is personal preference. I prefer a mix. And the last thing you're going to want your UI to track are resources, whether this is your mana, your HP, anything like that. These can all be done in TellMeWhen, LVUI, or weak auras. So with all that basic information out of the way here, now we can get on to the actual video on how we're going to be displaying this data and how we're going to set up our UI. Alright, so let's go in game and I'll move WoW to the front of OBS so you can see my UI as I do every day. And just in case anyone isn't familiar, by pressing escape, you can access LVUI through that button. And by typing /tmw, you can get to TellMeWhen. And by typing /wa, you can get to weak auras. If you're new to TellMeWhen, I strongly encourage you to click on the drop down here and just hover over each of the items on the list and read what they say, because it will allow you to see all of the capabilities of this add-on, some of which you may not have known were there. So once you get back into TellMeWhen, you're going to want to shift right click on any of these icons, and that will allow you to open up the menu where you can edit everything. So for ability cooldowns like spell cooldown or reactive ability, you'll first go to that top drop down and select one of those two options. Then in the second box you can type in the ability name or click it from your spellbook. Then you have another series of options down below. There's all sorts of settings like timers that you can select on and off. You really can just pick and choose and find what you like best. Alright, so for debuffs, I keep my target debuffs right down here. In this case that's Immolate, and then the area debuff right below that, which is Havoc. And as mentioned before, up here is my personal debuffs, which I do through LVUI. I just have them enlarged so they're easy to see. So let's go in and look at Immolate real quick here. From the drop down, you want to make sure that you have buffs and debuffs selected. Next, you'll want to go to Who to Watch, which is Target. If you were to change that to Player, that's how you do the personal debuffs. It's really easy. And up above that, you'll see Immolate selected. You can click it out of your spellbook or type it in. Below are all the options as before, timers, visibility settings, anything you'd want, just click around and find what you like best. And the last type of buff we'll cover is an area debuff, where you'll want to select all unit buffs and debuffs from the drop-down. From here you just type in the spell name like you did before, and below that are the visibility settings, and then on the right panel are the timer settings. For buffs, whether they're icon or bars, you still select the buff/debuff from the dropdown. The difference comes from the group panel in the lower right hand corner. At the top left of the group panel, you have the radio buttons to select whether or not you want it to be a bar, vertical bar, or an icon. Jumping back to the icon panel, you then just type in the spell, who to watch as player, it's a buff, and then you have the visibility and timer settings as before. For resources, go to the drop-down and select Resource Display. From here, you'll be given a second drop-down where you can select HP, mana, or whatever you'd like to track. Once you've made your selection, you then set the Who to Watch to Player, and you can set your visibility settings. If you made it to this part of the video, I guess I should say thanks for watching. This is actually the end. This entire video came about from FatStep. A viewer made a comment on the video asking if I could share my weak auras, and I realized at that time that I really only used 2 in my entire user interface outside of specific ones for boss encounters. So given that my entire UI is done with TellMeWhen, I figured I would make a video showing people how I set it up, because if I'm going to provide mine out to other people, I'd feel it would be a disservice if I didn't also show them how to adjust it and customize it for their needs as well. So I hope this video was helpful. If you go to my profile or also in the description down below this video, I have a link to the paste bin where you can go and you can download my UI. It has my TellMeWhens, my weak auras, and I've also been trying to get my LVUI profile as well up there. I'm not sure by the time you see this video if it will be up or not, but the plan is to get that up as well. And the other thing I wanted to show you is, as you can see here, this is my UI in Affliction. You noticed before that I had Doom when I was saying Havoc. The icon showed the Doom. It's because there's a couple ways you can do TellMeWhen. One is setting your frames to be spec specific so that they only show when you're a specific spec, which is how I have it for Destruction versus Affliction. However, since I don't really play Demonology too often, I just put all the basic Demonology things inside of my Destruction UI, so when you change specs, it actually does change your UI, but I haven't gone and made completely separate frames like I did for Affliction. So, once again, I just wanted to say thank you for watching. I really hope this video was helpful, and hope you have a good one. See you next time.